Ticks gather where this female warthog is least able to remove them. Along the edges of her ears, beneath her jaw, and inside the creases surrounding her face. Her hide is tough, but these are soft, protected places. A hoof cannot reach them precisely. A tusk is useless here. Every parasite remains close to sensitive skin. Beyond the reach of the animal's strongest defenses, she shakes her head until her ears strike against her neck. She lowers one cheek to the ground and drags it through dry soil. She rubs against rough bark. Later, she coats her body in mud and waits for it to dry. Each method can disturb the surface. None can inspect every fold. The irritation returns. Her ears twitch. Her head turns sharply. A body built to survive lions, drought, and hard ground still has no delicate tool for removing something small enough to hide beside a single bristle. Across the grass, another family is searching for food. Banded mongooses move as a close social group. Their bodies stay low. Dark horizontal stripes cross their backs. Most keep their noses near the soil, investigating cracks, roots, leaves, and disturbed earth. They search for insects and other small prey that can be uncovered with claws and teeth. On Uganda's Mweya Peninsula, inside Queen Elizabeth National Park, some of these mongooses have learned to recognize a very different feeding opportunity. It does not lie beneath the soil. It walks toward them on 4 legs. The warthog notices the group and slows. She does not charge. She does not raise her head or expose her tusks in warning. Instead, she remains near the foraging mongooses and begins to lower her body. Her front legs fold beneath her. Her broad face moves toward the ground. Then, she becomes still. This posture changes the entire encounter. The head that had been protected by sweeping tusks is now within reach of animals weighing only a small fraction of her mass. Her ears are exposed. The folds along her cheeks and jaw are close to the ground. The mongooses no longer need to reach upward toward a standing animal. One individual approaches first. It pauses near the warthog's face, close enough to smell her skin. The warthog holds her position. The mongoose steps forward and begins to inspect the sparse bristles around her cheek. Its movements are short and precise. The nose searches. The teeth part, the hair. A tick attached near the outer edge of an ear becomes food. The mongoose swallows it, shifts a few inches, and begins searching again. The warthog does not move away. That tolerance gives the rest of the group an opportunity. Another mongoose approaches the jaw. A third climbs onto the shoulder. Others continue foraging nearby, but the animals closest to the warthog concentrate on the surface of her body. The inspection spreads. One mongoose searches beside the ear, where the skin is thin and folded. Another moves behind the head, following the line where coarse bristles meet the neck. A smaller individual stands briefly against the warthog's cheek, then adjusts its footing and works across a new patch of skin. Every successful bite produces a small meal. The warthog could end the encounter at any moment. A sudden rise would scatter the group. A turn of the head would place the mongooses beside her tusks. Yet she keeps her face low and allows them to continue. This is not friendship in the human sense. It is not kindness, and it requires no promise. It is an exchange, built from compatible needs. For the mongooses, the warthog becomes a temporary feeding ground. Ticks and other small items attached to her skin offer concentrated food without the effort of digging through hard earth. For the warthog, every parasite removed may reduce irritation in a place she cannot groom accurately by herself. The arrangement depends on communication, even though the two species do not share a language. The warthog communicates through posture. Lowering her body reduces the threat created by her size and tusks. Stillness provides access. Exposed ears and relaxed movement allow the mongooses to search. The mongooses communicate through restraint. They approach gradually. They focus their attention on the skin rather than treating the warthog as prey. Their repeated inspections maintain the exchange.
Too rough, little friend.
But the agreement has limits. An eager mongoose may pull too sharply or nip sensitive skin while removing a tick. The warthog can respond with a grunt, a sudden shift, or a quick rise. When that happens, the mongooses scatter. The cleaning session ends because the larger participant no longer accepts the cost. Cooperation continues only while both sides gain more. Then they lose. The most remarkable part of the scene is not simply that ticks are being eaten. Many birds remove ectoparasites from large mammals. Oxpeckers are famous for riding on buffalo, giraffes, rhinos, and warthogs. Here, both cleaner and client are mammals. Encounters like this are far less commonly documented than partnerships between large mammals and birds. The location may help explain why the behavior is visible here. The Mweya Peninsula contains grassland, dense thickets, wetlands, and human-used areas within a protected landscape. Warthogs and banded mongooses live close to one another. Both can become accustomed to repeated encounters around places where food is available and movement overlaps. When the same individuals meet again and again, an unusual opportunity can become familiar. A warthog that remains still gains access to cleaning. A mongoose that approaches carefully finds food. A successful encounter can be repeated. Other members of a social group are present to observe and participate. Over time, the meeting begins to resemble a local tradition. That does not mean every warthog in Africa waits for mongooses. Tick picking by banded mongooses has been reported at Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda and in Kenya's Masai Mara. Researchers have also noted that several observations occurred near places affected by human activity or supplementary food. The true extent of the behavior away from these settings remains uncertain. This uncertainty makes the partnership more interesting, not less. It suggests that animal behavior is not only shaped by anatomy and instinct, it can also respond to local conditions, repeated contact, and opportunities that exist in one place but not another. The mongooses continue across the warthog's head and shoulders. Their search becomes slower as the easiest food disappears. One steps down and returns its nose to the earth. Another pauses near the ear, checks one final fold, and follows. The warthog remains low. For a moment longer. Then, she lifts her head. Her front legs straighten. Dust falls from her knees. The heavy face rises above the grass, and the tusks once again frame her mouth. The animal that made herself accessible now becomes large and imposing again. The mongoose group closes around its foraging path. Soft calls continue between the animals. Within seconds, the two species are moving through the same landscape for different reasons. No permanent alliance has been formed. There is no guarantee that the next meeting will happen in the same way. The interaction lasts only as long as the conditions remain useful. For the tick, the encounter ends a blood meal. For the mongoose, it provides food without digging. For the warthog, it brings careful attention to skin her own body cannot easily reach. Strength protects her from many threats, but it cannot perform the work of a small animal. Searching patiently around her face. On this patch of Ugandan grassland, survival is not always a contest between the powerful and the weak. Sometimes, it begins when the powerful animal lowers its head, becomes still, and allows something much smaller to come close.